Welcome back. You are watching the Oasis Focus on Finance show, and we are talking about property as an important asset class and showcasing the Oasis Crescent Property Fund. Our special guests are Isma-el Ebrahim and Michael Swingler. Isma-el, to continue, what types of properties do we have in terms of this asset class?
So within the Oasis Crescent Property Fund, I'll focus on the Oasis Crescent Property Fund and the assets within that. So the fund has built a strong portfolio, and as I indicated earlier, without any debt. It's built a strong portfolio with a combination of South African direct property as well as global REITs. And within the REIT exposure, REIT being real estate investment trusts, it includes properties that are located in the major global cities, and that also allows for currency and geographic location, which the fund has benefited from. I mean, if you just consider when we made some of those investments globally, we took it out or we made those decisions at a time when I would say the rand is a lot stronger than where it is now. And so alhamdulillah, it was a good decision in hindsight, and the fund has benefited from that type of diversification, which I spoke about earlier. On the direct side, we exposed to direct property, and the sectors in which we exposed to in South Africa would include the retail, office and industrial space in South Africa, with our retail space being predominantly in KZN. But overall, our portfolio is, our major exposure I would say predominantly Western Cape. Within our industrial space, if I talk about some of the exposure in our industrial properties, it includes properties which I would say on a individual size of the property would be some of the biggest in the sector if we compare it to the sizes, the average sizes of some of our peers. And then we've continued to follow our strategy of continuing to invest in our properties, so annually investing and refurbishing our properties in order to make sure that, most people, if you don't invest in a property, that property tends to wear and tear, tends to kick in, and the property slowly starts to become how can I say, older and starting to look a bit more, how can I say, long in the tooth. But what we've done is we've continued with our strategy of continuing to invest in our properties to make sure that not only, other than the fact that they're in strong locations, because as they say in property, the three most important things to look at in the property sector is location, location, location. And other than that fact, we've tried to continue to make sure our properties are well maintained in order to ensure that they've got a long life. And alhamdulillah, that's benefited us, and it's allowed us to be exposed to quite, I would say, decent quality tenants.
Michael, what kind of investments would you say the fund has globally, on the global scale?
The global investments are through the Oasis Crescent Global Property Equity Fund, and the focus is very much on the real estate investment trusts, or REITs. So these are listed global property companies with the best quality assets and the strongest balance sheets. And as Isma-el indicated, in terms of location, we have a high exposure to the major global cities. The major global cities have much deeper economies, and they therefore, throughout the economic cycle, a lot more resilient. And they also, over time, you'll see stronger growth from your major global cities relative to the countries within which those cities are located. Other areas that we look for in terms of superior growth and also performance are sectors of the global economy that will grow faster. And we discussed earlier e-commerce, for example, within the industrial sector. There's going to be a faster growth for modern logistics space that's suitable to provide for the needs of e-commerce. Another one is if you look at countries with aging populations, if you look at senior housing, outpatient medical facilities, where you've got the population growth and the aging of the population, you will see the sector and the healthcare spend will be faster than the rest of the economy. And therefore, investing in that healthcare sector within property, you can get a stronger demand for those properties and therefore stronger rental growth. We've spoken about strong balance sheets, and we've also spoken about looking for companies that have got meaningful potential to refurbish their properties. As you refurbish your properties, you can bring in new tenants, you can again uplift your rentals. That ultimately delivers superior rental growth and superior dividend growth from these listed REITs that we are invested in. And then lastly, globally, we're also looking for diversification, currency and geographic. And as you know, in terms of our investment philosophy, we want to buy that good quality global property companies or REITs at attractive valuations.
Isma-el, tell us about the most recent report of the Oasis Crescent Property Fund. I think it came out in September.
That's right. So the half-year end would be the 30th of September. We managed to publish our results, I think it was within 2 weeks of that year end. In fact, I think we may have been one of the first companies in South Africa in our sector to actually publish results. So our team's obviously doing very good work in that regard. But as the results are concerned, as far as the results are concerned themselves, the results for the half year, I'm proud to say, was a decent set of results. Our distribution per unit increased at about 23.7%, and also our net asset value, so the underlying value of the assets which we have in the portfolio, increased at about 11.5%. So our distribution came in at about 60.6 cents a unit, and our net asset value grew to just under 20 Rand at 19.78 Rand. So alhamdulillah, the benefit of the decisions we've been taking over those last 10 years, being the 10th anniversary of the fund, is starting to bear fruits, and we can see the strong performance, as Michael indicated earlier, with the growth throughout the 10 years. We've had a consistent growth track record in our intrinsic value and our distribution per unit when he indicated the growth, and that's been consistent over the 10 years, and it came through very strongly in this last result.
If I can just add to that, Shafiq, and elaborate on the key drivers. We had the annual increases in rental. So you've got your rental escalations as per your lease agreements. That gives you a good base. And then we also had some increases in rental when you renew a lease, especially in our retail sector, where we were able to get higher rentals on the renewal of leases. And importantly, as we referred to earlier, within the industrial component of the portfolio, over the last couple of years, the refurbishment and the modernization of those properties, that was a key driver. Again, you can bring in new tenants, and you can ask higher rentals for those properties. And then on the retail side, we extended one of our properties, so adding additional space, and brought in one of the multinationals retailers, so high quality retailers that are coming in. So that added additional rentals. And then lastly, the offshore investments, the income that we receive on the global investments, that benefited from some rand depreciation over this period, where Isma-el indicated the distribution per unit increased by 23.7%.
Michael, while you're on a roll, I'm going to give you a crystal ball and ask you the proverbial question: what is the outlook like, the future outlook for the Oasis Crescent Property Fund?
Shafiq, the priorities of the fund will be very much in line with its longer term strategy. Isma-el referred to that earlier, and we saw the results now, and that is about investing in the direct properties, further improving the tenant quality. So making sure that those properties, which are well located, remain relevant, modern, and competitive. And then with that comes the renewing of existing leases. So with a primary objective, renewing existing leases, improving the tenant quality. Then secondly, the fund has announced just after the result that we are taking advantage of opportunities in the market, and the fund has recently acquired 2 additional properties in the Western Cape. These properties have either been materially upgraded already, or they have significant development opportunity. But both properties have location advantages. And then the global investments that will continue to provide diversification. It's a unique characteristic of the Oasis Crescent Property Fund. So the fund is well positioned, and management are confident in the strategy and future of the fund.
And thanks to Isma-el Ebrahim and Michael Swingler, Senior Investment Analysts at Oasis. Thank you very much for your contribution in today's show.
Thank you, Shafiq.
And that concludes this week's Focus on Finance show, in which we had a look at the Oasis Crescent Property Fund. Tune into the show next week when we have a look at a very urgent and pressing scenario, that is of education in South Africa. Should you wish to contact us, 0860 100 786. Email info@oasiscrescent.com. The website www.oasiscrescent.com. Until next time, I'm Shafiq Morton. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.